So welcome. This is the second edition to the Challenger podcast. Today we're going to have more of the Polish community, just to get their kind of opinion on the Polish Quake League that's kind of been around lately. And of course, I think they've, they're quite passionate about their industry, so I'm sure they'll have plenty of notes to share. We also have, I'll go through the whole table, so everyone will kind of introduce themselves. What's their gaming name, what country they're from, and when they started playing Quake. So, Hawr1x, you're in my top left. So could you go through all that?
So hello, my name is Pavel Havrik-Skimla. I'm from Czech Republic, and I'm playing Quake for 25 years, give or take.
From Quake 1 or Quake 2?
From Quake 1, I actually played Quake World for let's say 2 years. And then we switched to Quake 3. We kind of abandoned that Quake 2 era completely. And I continue with the series, so then I played Quake 4, and now I'm trying to cover Quake Champions. But for example, that Quake World QH LAN that happened last weekend, it was fucking amazing. And it bring back memories, and it's like ultimate team play for me, at least.
I think it was. I mean, it's still incredible to see people still play. Quake well to that extent and having that much, emphasis. But hopefully we'll be able to hear from that later, because I know your history for Quake. You've been playing for 25 years, but you've actually been attending events, seeing it all progress. So hopefully that comes up later in the stream too. JaH0. So yeah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi everyone. My name is Alan Jahovich, but JaH0 of course works. So when it comes to for how long have I been playing Quake, there are two answers really, because the first time I played Quake, I was literally 3 years old, sitting on my dad's lap, playing against bots. So I'm not gonna say like Havrik that I played for 25 years, but when it comes to Quake, I came back knowing that Quake Champions was being released, and I got the closed beta key. So I can say that I played from closed beta, but up until the end of 2019, I couldn't really say that I was playing much, because my computer was literally made out of wood, and I had about 30 to 40 FPS on Corrupted. It was barely playable, but I kept on going through, as well as all of the technical difficulties, of course, being that Quake Champions was definitely a bit of a junk at the start. But after going to the States for the summer, I earned enough to buy myself an A-class rig, and from that point on, the game got a bit easier, I'm not gonna lie. So, playing, I would say from about 4 years, yeah.
Okay. And out of curiosity, I remember like a while ago when I first came to Poland, you casted one of my games versus I forgot his name, but was that on the wooden PC? Or was that...
Yeah. So no, I remember also that part, because I was I wanted to cast since I was a little kid. Not exactly esports, of course, because I had no idea that such thing existed back then, but football, of course, volleyball, even ski jumping being big in Poland. I'm from Poland, of course. I always had a knack on this kind of thing, and seeing all the streamers, of course, this was made possible already. I can just turn on OBS and start streaming to people. And in my first stream, I had about 20 people, which is nuts when it comes to Quake Champions and its numbers. It was all just like I turned up OBS. I had my HyperX headphones, just talked about the game, both English and Polish, and from that point on, it just got going. And
yeah, I like that. I think it's definitely the show, like how you just kind of get involved and things just kind of go that way. We'll definitely talk about that later on too. So Wolfy, you're below me. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm WolfPL. I play Quake for 21 years. I started actually on Quake 2 on PlayStation. I played against my brother duels, and then when Quake 3 was released, I started to play on my PC. That was like kind of better than wooden, but still like not the greatest PCs ever, but it was good enough to play against bots in practice. And I attended my first LAN tournament when I was 11, so 1 year later in Katowice, and I started to play. I met their Matchrox, I met Sting, so the famous Polish players, and that's how my competitive passion started. So I started to participate more and more, play more Quake 3 than Quake Live, and I do play Quake Champions for 14 months now, because I started last year, September, and it was probably one of my best decisions I've ever made. To start to play Quake Champions. A lot of things happen, and yeah, that's awesome.
Nice, mate. Slave, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. So my name is Victor, I'm named Slave. By the way, if you hear weird noises, there's a baby here, so no idea if you can hear that or not. But yeah, I'm from Poland as well. I started playing Quake in like 1996 when Quake 1 came out, but it was just single player. Same with Quake 2, and then only with Quake 3 started to play more multiplayer. Going to, bring your own computer LANs to my friend, like, connecting them with LPT cables, because basically switches and routers were not a thing yet, I guess, in the home environment. So it was pretty fun. I played a lot of TDM back then, and then around 2010, I think, I took a very, very long break from Quake until like QC was in the closed beta, because I was a part of that as well. I wouldn't call my computer wooden, but it was pretty bad performance-wise, so I stopped as well, and then came back like 2 or 3 years ago. When COVID started, I played a little bit of Doom and then switched to Quake Champions, so playing since then.
Nice. I think we're definitely seeing a common theme here of people from Poland, unfortunately starting with wooden PCs. But, maybe that's just the story arc, I mean, Saint, do you also have the same thing? Did you start with a bad PC?
About me?
Yeah.
I don't even remember on which PC I was playing at first in a Quake, because that was a lot of them started to play the campaigns of the first and second Quake long time ago, and some LAN games in gaming cafeterias, something like that, in the old good times. And as I remember, I started to play more online since the Quake Live, but mostly some team death matches. So to be honest, I'm playing Quake, I think, since 2 years, and I'm practicing duels since the January this year. So I can't even tell if I was playing on wooden PCs. I have no.
That would qualify as a no, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
So my question was, Saint, when you started in January, how much did you increase your rank? Or did you increase your rank? Fuck, I'm not sure.
That's a tricky question.
Yeah, that's a tricky question, because Wolf was my mentor for a while. I think from the deep bronze, I increased my level to the mid silver, I guess. But you should ask the other people for that, because I'm not objective for that.
It's better. He improved. He had like a lot of issues with movement, especially. That's what we're working on a lot, because previously he was hitting like literally every wall, and now it's getting better and better. He's faster and faster.
Before we get into the questions, can I ask, like, what is it like to have Wolfy as a coach?
Oh my god.
I think it's a nice experience. I think that the Wolf is a very good coach, and he's good at that. So if you
not here.
I actually coached also Slave Fury like a few times. So yeah, that's funny. I do coaching from time to time just for fun.
If you are wondering to ask someone to coach from the Poland, I think the Wolf is a good man for that.
Like the endorsement. All right, guys. I reckon we'll get started into the questions. And what I might do is like, depending, because we have like quite a lot of people here, we can either do where everyone will kind of like have their turn of sharing, or if you just like, you know, if you feel like you just want to say something, or if you want to respond to what somebody is saying, I think we'll do it more like this, kind of like a conversation where somebody says something, then somebody replies, rather than you know, making it like, okay, Hawr1x's turn, then JaH0's. We'll just kind of make it more like this. So the first question I have is about Polish Quake League. So actually, I'll ask Saint, because he's kind of the first person who kind of organized it and did all that. So I guess like more like, how did you start to create this idea, and more about like, why did you do it? Because, well, what I have here is like, what does it mean to have your own league, in the sense that, you know, to represent Poland? And I can imagine you guys can also say like, being Polish players playing in the league is kind of like, you know, it's more, you put more effort than you would into other things, perhaps maybe even the German one that kind of happens as well. So I guess Saint, the question is like, why did you start it, and where did it kind of come from?
Maybe I'll start from the beginning, when my brother showed me the Quake Champions, when it was on a beta, as I remember, and we came to the Warsaw Comic Con event, and right there, the Forge of Gamers set the tournament for the audience, so you can check the game, check the newest PCs from the MSI, and I was a competitor in this tournament, deathmatch mixed with the duels, and I liked that. I liked that format, and I thought I could do this on my own. So the first that kind of event we ran at our city in Białystok, and a gaming center, and that was a funny experience. Some people from the whole Poland came up there, about the 20 people, I guess. And after that, I got some feedback from the Polish community, where I was the newcomer, to be honest. Because as I said earlier, I didn't play online or showing up anywhere on the Discords or forums or something like that. So by time to time, I met JaH0, Koda, and other casters, which we are do some streams or that kind of things. And after some small tournaments online, I've decided to organize the LAN tournament. That was the Polish championship in Warsaw, with the LAN event. And after this huge event, because we literally filled the whole pub here, and people were so excited that I thought that would be great idea to run the 1v1 league for all of the people who will participate on the different levels, because some silvers can't even play with the elite ones on the same level. So I thought that it would be a great opportunity to do something for all those people from different divisions. So the first edition of the Polish Quake League was in 3 divisions, because I won't so sure how many people will participate on the event, but I think it was very successful. About 60 participants, as I remember for now, in the first edition. And after that, the people were so pumped up after the finals, which we organized in the basement with the with the hot seat crew, and the people were very I know. They wanted the second edition with the LAN event. So okay, I tell everyone that we will do this. So the second season came up. We broke the previous participation number, about 76 participants in the second season. And I don't know what to do, what to tell the next.
Well, to be honest,
there is one important thing that I want to add to what Saint said about the first season of the Polish Quake League, which was that it was COVID, like 2020, fully on.
Yeah.
So this is an important detail that first thing, it was a good idea to do such thing online, such a league instead of small tournaments, because everybody is at home anyway. And then it concluded, nobody was going for vacations or anything. It was very nicely and smoothly organized, of course, under Saint's watch. But yes, this just gave a reason for people to play the game. This gave reason for people to tune in on streams, see some more Quake, and from that point on, we also, like Saint said, had a very brilliant, however small party in Białystok in the December of 2020, where I got to meet the people for the first time, just face to face. And yeah, from that point on, it was such an overwhelming success that boys got a couple of sponsors more, pumped up a prize pool a bit, and we had even more players playing in, however, it was 6 divisions. What?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. We advanced the number of the divisions, and we also added the lowest division
Amateur.
that was called amateur, and actually 6 people were participating in that, and that was for people that literally didn't even play Quake. So it was for somebody who's like friend of friend, stuff like that. But 6 people was a good number. They had great experience. They had like completely different rules. They could play only one map, one champion, even mirror matches. Like, just let them feel as comfortable as they can in the lower amount of the time.
One of my friends who never played Quake before got into it, so I also streamed all of his matches on my stream. This was only content I posted this year on my stream, and I can tell you that, first of all, the progress of these people was absurd. If you were to watch second stream, of course, I also coached him and my other friend Mati. Shout out to both of you. I coached them a bit. They played it between themselves, and I kid you not, both of them would finish if they continued playing at like 1000 rating after just a bunch of hours, really.
I don't know if you remember, JaH0, but the grand finals of the Amateur League was against my friend and your friend. So I coached my friend, who won actually.
Yes, he won.
And he progressed really well, but he was a CS player, and he really had sometimes for 60% rail. So he was just everything was bad, but he was hitting, and that was so fun to watch. But and the whole idea of PL, the Polish Quake League, was to just bring emotions and the atmosphere that you can have from tournaments, because you can play like your Friday, Sunday with just custom games and that's it. But if you bring commentators, the viewers, that's completely different level of competition on the level you can play. So you're a civil player, you can experience what the pro players feel on the scene, like the percentage of that, and I think that's the biggest success of leagues like this.
Yeah, and it actually brings us that motivation to improve, and that you actually can have goals, and you actually want to be one of the best in your division or in Poland. And it's like you mentioned, David, it's completely different than playing in German league, which is also a great event. But it's you treat it more like a training before the next season of PQL. So it's a completely different experience. If it's your own country, the people you met on lands, is a completely different experience. So love it, and thank you, Saint, for doing that. And by the way, we all won the season 3rd, so don't stop.
We'll be there.
Okay, I was going to say we're going to hear an announcement, but maybe we'll leave that for later. But Hawr1x, what did you want to say, mate?
The thing is that for me, having Polish league back into Quake is something like throwback to history, because Polish scene was always strong. There were a lot of people, great players on European or even global scale. And when I see the first edition of Polish Quake League, I was thinking that this is like after Quake Pro League back at that time, that was the second best organized league that we have in the community. And when boys meet in that basement and through the finals, that was exactly the moment when I knew that there is something special to watch, because there was so much energy. I would compare it to atmosphere you probably had in Kuachikon, because it was done from heart, and this is something that the Quake community in general needs, that passion and devotion to do such events. So this is how I get somehow in connection with Saint at first, and then second division is kind of second edition is kind of history what happened there. So
What's really nice is that, like, in places where, you know, you don't have the resources just yet, you don't have the money, but you do actually have the passion. And what I was trying to say is, like, I know it's a bit of a meme or it's kind of over exaggerated, but when people can see your enthusiasm, they don't give a shit how much money or like what's kind of involved, but they just want to be a part of like something where people are having a good time, people are really enjoying it, and it's all for like one moment. And I think that it's cool that you guys have all have created that, because you can see that's why people are like tuning in. Because otherwise, you know, I'm sure like these other, you know, weekly leagues that don't have like the picks and bans, or you don't have the commentators, then you don't have like the player cams like that. I don't know if there's any other league besides you know, QPL that are doing that, and that's like a full-blown broadcast. So, you know, and I think that's what I wanted to say about, like, it's nice to see how, you know, but that first LAN or season 1 where you guys did it in that basement, and I think even watching that stream was funny, because like you could see when it just turned the camera and it looked like, or they showed like the cam of the room, and like the desk was here and like the interview thing was like in the size of a box. It looked nuts, but yeah, that was really nice to see. Does anything you wanted to add to that? Because actually I wanted to actually aim this question at Slave, because I feel like he was a player who, how can I say, well, you're actually participating in the league, and you've actually like managed to come from, well, you were a diamond, now you're in the league division, and kind of like, I guess, what does that mean to you? Or, you know, because I know you're working like, or you were working before full time, and you were kind of just doing this on the side, and I think for a lot of people it's very much like that, even if outside of PQ, it's like full-time job and then try to grind Quake on the side just because it's kind of fun. But yeah, I guess, you know, what's the story behind that, or how you're invested into PQL?
It's kind of tough question, because I don't actually remember how it all started. But I think I was participating in one of the tournaments that Saint was organizing. But I didn't actually do well. And then I've heard there's going to be a league, and this is where it started for me to become, when it's a league, I want to get better. I want to, you know, score, like be placed higher. And I tried to get to the league division in the first season, but I failed. Even in the second season, I was a little bit of lucky. I remember Lure had some technical difficulties when I got in. So for me, the story is still, I'm trying to prove that I actually belong there, and kind of cement my place there and make sure, you know, I stay for the next season, and then hopefully actually throw a better fight than in the previous ones. But as I said, it's completely different motivation to perform well in a Polish league than any other league. I guess, you know, if I got into QPL, or, you know, it's nice to dream. That'll be a whole different story. But other than that, when it's your home party, you want to perform the best you can, because it has a completely different meaning.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just on a side note too, I think it's interesting to see, like, you know, I think 76 players even from like the Polish league alone is more than the amount of people that signed up even to like a global challenger. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to think about, actually. I mean, I know that like maybe people won't sign up because they think it's difficult or there's different leagues, but still to have 76 people sign up is still quite an achievement.
I think there is one reason why we got so many people, and this is the division between ranks. Because let's be honest, if I were a silver, a bronze player, and my best shot is playing a tournament, when on the first round I'm meeting FloWe, in the second round I'm gonna meet, I don't know, Slave because he met Zviros and somehow he lost. Two matches against like gods at this point, and you're done. See you next time in 2 months. While instead having a league format designed for people to, of course, approximately, especially in the first season, which was basically formed on Microsoft Forms. We were able to do something very good and create the second season to something special, because people trusted that they're going to have a good time no matter who are they going to play, because the players are going to be at least at the similar level. And we also have one very success story, in my opinion, when it comes to players' progress, and that is Skoku, who was totally a silver player, good silver, but like top 4 in the silver division at the beginning of the season, and on the end of the season he was playing equal to diamonds. So and of course he like destroyed the LAN finals without any questions. So it also gave opportunities to lower rated players to improve their skills by beating peers and competing against them, and then from that point on, in situations such as this one, sometimes the progress usually isn't linear. So he like blew up, but there was of course the rising ship, the rising waters rides all ships. I don't know the saying, but you know what I mean. So yeah, basically this was we were able to provide with this league an opportunity for players to both have fun and enjoy some progress as well.
Yeah.
The main reason for that split for the divisions, and people were mostly complaining about the number of the matches in the season. The reason was to improve, as you said, to not to make people, but to make not to make them, but to I forgot the word about it.
Like motivates, or
yeah, like motivate to improve the skill. So that the Skoku is one of most examples of the whole league, because we got many players who increased their levels even on the elite level, like Zviros, who was participating in a challengers. So this is the main reason, the main goal of the Polish Quake League.
And
also from
Zenek,
the
what you mentioned about
perspective, it was really
go
interesting to
first.
follow each division, because there were close matches and interesting. So you can say, if you watch, for example, German league, that the difference and approach of players is okay. If I'm losing, I will DC, and I don't care if it is after 5 minutes or so. But in Polish Quake League, every match was basically finished till the time limit, and it was really funny to watch the games. And each division brings something different. When you have that silver to bronze league, it's like mostly about skirmishes, plus forward, and fighting all the time. Then obviously on that higher tier, it's like more tactics involved. So sorry, Slave, to overspeak.
sorry.
No worries. I did it to you this time, so or even now. I was going to say that it's the big difference between challengers and a league like that is, challengers is usually single elimination. So actually go in, you can meet, let's say Garpy or someone like that in the first game, and you're out. And it's just one off, and that's it. And the same with the weekly leagues or weekly tournaments. You go, you play, you perform that level, and that's it. And the big, I think, advantage of the league is you actually have to work through the entire season to see the results. So you can't actually slack off 1 week. You have to invest yourself. And when you are like invested for 8 weeks, it naturally comes that you want to improve so that you can actually, if you had a great game at the first week, you don't want to lose that streak or things like that. So I think it's more motivating for players. But it's also more challenging to actually last through the whole season because, life happens. As you said, most of us either work or works full time. So it's not always that easy to fit it into the schedule. But I think when you can, you automatically, it costs you effort. So you want to make sure it's not wasted effort. So you put your heart into it.
It was also great. Sorry, go ahead, Wolf.
If I can add something to what JaH0 said, because I think Division was a great idea because of the closing the gaps between the leagues. That's why it works. And people, if we had 76 people, that's a great number. But if we would organize now tournament with all the participants from Polish Quake League, I would bet, and we even seen that before, that half of them wouldn't even sign up, because half of them wants to progress and they will participate, even though they know they're gonna probably lose. They're not gonna win. Maybe I will rephrase that. But half will say, I don't wanna just go and lose. I know I'm gonna lose because this guy gonna play, this guy gonna play. It's a waste of my time. So we have different approaches, giving the divisions and closing the gap between the level of the players is letting everyone enjoy. One can play and progress and jump through the divisions. One can play and feel like he has a chance. If you give the guy a feeling of the chance of winning something, that works perfectly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also why the challengers didn't have that numbers, because most of the people know when they're around level, let's say gold, diamond, they won't probably win the challengers. And so they won't sign up. And you have people who signed up anyway and they just lose, but they had a chance to play against a really, really good player or old Quake Pro League player, which is like always great experience. But most of the people just don't sign up, and that's the different approach. But also what is fun, that a lot of people just play from time to time, few days a week, and play customs with others and just have have fun. But what is funny, you have a scene like that. Let's say like around 100 people playing. You will also have drama. And that's what brings emotion, which is fun, because you will have people that don't like some guy. We have clans in Poland. These guys are from S2K, one are from Boomers, like Slave, and stuff like that. And some guys won't like each other, and if they will meet on the league, that brings everything you want, like emotions. They will just, they have a arena to prove something, and that's awesome how it works too.
One more thing that you actually mentioned.
Okay,
go.
We'll go.
My turn?
First.
Okay, awesome. One thing that you actually mentioned, Wolf, is about the league format is great that you actually meet people that are at your level, and you can actually play customs with during the week. And then when you know that, well, I'm silver, there's a guy in gold, it's easier to approach him and kind of get to know more people that you can play with and progress. Then if you are just thrown into a huge mix or one-day tournament, it kind of helps people bond and have more, sparring partners, stuff like that. So it's good.
Okay, JaH0, you go.
Hey, so there is just, after listening to everybody, I reminded myself of one super fucking cool thing, which was, so Diamond and Elite divisions were broadcasted on an official channel. So that leaves us with golds, silvers, bronzes, and even amateurs. And there was a ton of homegrown broadcasts. So what happened was people from Polish Quake League started streaming themselves, either as casters. So we had people such as Nex, Zico. These two I remember very vividly, casting a ton of games from bronze to gold. I casted a bit of amateurs. There was Wolfy, of course, as well. In the meantime, of course, apart from being official casters, and just a ton of players started streaming. Of course, streaming from 1 to 10 people, but still, they just felt like doing something like this. Felt like players, pro players, perhaps, So So the similarities that we were able to create, we didn't tell them to do that. We told them you can do it, and they did it. So this also provided just a bunch of extremely cool collaborations, even between people. So like full-on broadcasts, really. Some people went all out. I was both surprised, amazed, and really happy to see that.
It's kind of like a product of the environment that it actually creates those kind of, people will do that on their own accord. Sorry, Hawr1x, I cut you off like twice. So what were you gonna say?
It kind of lost the track, but I want to add to that rivalry Wolf was talking about. That rivalry happens online, but when we met in Wuch, everything was like super friendly, and it was funny when you. This is the power of having same goal with Quake or whatever you are doing, because you are meeting people that are completely different from different side of sociality or whatever. So it was really funny, and it was just quick addition I want to add to Wolf about that topic.
There was something else I wanted to add to that, but I already forgot now too. Oh, that's right. I think it was more about the case of how Slave was saying how, like, in challenges it's like a 1 best of 3 and you could go out this way, but having what's interesting about the league system is, like, as much as it's all about playing games, but it's also a lot of like challenging yourself to say, can I get more out of myself, and also believing you can get more out of yourself, because that's also like why people participate, because they want to like test themselves, and it only just creates an opportunity for that to happen. Okay. Well, I'll leave it open, because I was going to go to the next question, which is going to be more about like how we feel about the game at the moment. Like, can
I add to the league system, David?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So if anyone wanted to add, so
because if you change the topic, I don't think that I find opportunity to speak about it.
Oh, for sure.
Basically, when I was designing something like Quake Pro League or something like that, it's like 3 or 4 years ago. That idea was similar to the league, but there was off seasons. So we have 8 players in each division, and after that division was played, top 4 players stay in that division, or advanced, or drop down to the let's say brawls where those 2 division collided. And from that tournament or from that league, people were advancing or falling down. So this is what I'm missing right now in the it's like a mid step maybe, that you have leagues for the, let's say, 3 months, then you have for 3 months that off tier, and then you continue with the league. Then there is like that gaps, and advancement can happen, and the storylines, obviously.
That's the question, or because I don't know.
No, that's the idea how the league systems should work according to my experience.
I can tell from myself it will happen. So.
Oh yeah.
So the idea is to advance or to hold on the current division. Depends on the level, of course, excluding bronze and amateur leagues.
Because I think a part of the reason why we don't see that in QPL anyway, or at least for just my own opinion about it, is just like logistics. Because I think realistically they'd like to do something like that, but ultimately it comes down to like, I mean, not that I know anything to do with like how the financials or how they organize things, but looking from the outside, it really does look like it's more about how can we just like organize a system which starts at A, finishes it at B, where I think once you start adding more things, which are all really good ideas, and to be honest, like this is why the small things outside of QPL does give an opportunity to create these things, but I think they do that in QPL because it's like, how do we know this is the exact product we're gonna get, and not I think they're just trying to avoid issues. I think a lot of the time it feels like that anyway, but yeah. Did anyone else want to add anything else to that too, or?
Just one quick side note is that The reason why it is not so easy because of course this is in like plans, the advancement and going below divisions. The reason why it's not so easy is because people still have to sign up to the third season, and some people we had a couple of instances of people dropping out in the middle of the season because of reasons, and there were of course plenty because again we played for a bit of cash but not enough to have people stay no matter the situation. So we're still community powered league, and while of course this is the perfect scenario, currently it doesn't look as possible, and while I can only assure everybody watching this is that we are going to do our absolute best to have people play both for staying in the division and going up, of course.
I think with a lot to do with like the smaller projects, or like when you are making like what you guys are doing with like Polish Quake League or now with Tilt is like how do I say, just having the product or like the foundation, which then if the foundation is strong and everybody are going to continually like invest in that, then I think that's where people will go, because no one's going to, if the value is shit, no one's going to go. And so it's pretty easy to see like quite quick is like, if what you're doing is bad, no one will attend or it'll go down. And if what you're doing is good, it'll just go up. And I think, I don't know about you guys, but I know even for myself, when I do things, it's like you want to just be, you just want to be there already. You know, you want to have whatever your product is, it already wants to be like QPL, if not better. And it feels like it just kind of takes time. It just needs to be patient. And but from what I've seen, like I said, it's all come out really good. So. I mean, yeah, I think, are you guys happy with it so far? Like, I think you guys like what you've done.
So they're happy?
Wanna chime in?
Are you guys happy with the product that you've made is what I'm trying to say?
To be honest, it's not that perfect as I would see that. Sorry, but I was focused on the chat and the questions about the money, the prize pool. I don't know the specifics. And the reasons why people cancel the participation in the league. But about the second season and the future of the future format, I think it should be improved and can be improved, and it will be improved.
So let me tell you one thing about Saint. He is a fucking perfectionist, and he will never be satisfied with his product, but here I am to make up for it. So this was a banger of a season, and when it comes to production, it's insane. Like literally from Saint's room, sometimes with a bit of help. Like Hawr1x said, the first thing he noticed was the production value and how professional everything looks. We had the overlays, we had player cams, like what?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That was a huge addition.
Sometimes QPL doesn't have them. And there were, in my opinion, very, of course, biased, there were moments and things we've done better than QPL. And I think that this needs to be recognized. If not by us, then who's going to do this? So here I am, the first line of praise for what we've done. And we definitely have a bunch of reasons to be proud of.
I definitely agree with that too.
Yeah, I think you're kind of both right.
It was great. Who's speaking?
Like
Again, I'm
always.
basically talking about Slive. So sorry, Slive, go on. Hawr1x.
Every single time, man. Every single
the
time.
three.
Anyway, I was going to say that, you both are right. Like, PQL is not perfect. And will probably never be, but QPL is not perfect either. And for, what is like a one-man show at the beginning, and now it's more people from the community helping. I think the level of production and organization is superb, very close to the QPL. Or the price will, probably will always beat ours, but other than that, it's really, really, really top tier.
Hawr1x, what are you gonna say? Okay. Must be the server. I don't know how it always intercepts. Now I'm cutting you off. Okay, you go, mate. Sorry.
I will shut up for the 20 minutes. No, I wanted to add to that JaH0 statement about the production value and everything. Basically, I was really happy that I've somehow convinced Saint to add English version of the stream. So we have Chloenary helping us a lot with that second division. She was awesome. And also Terror was helping with that production. So at some point there were replays, like instant replays from the matches. So this is something that you expect from the full-fledged team of guys working on that, and everything happened like spontaneously, like from again from the heart of the community. So this is something that shouldn't be overlooked. And yeah, shut up, Hawr1x.
Yeah, about
Chloe.
the English casters. So we had a lot of them. For example, Forgetty was casting Almaril, as I remember.
Almari,
So-
yeah.
Yeah. So we had a lot of English casters, and that was really
You're
nice.
forgetting one Mr. Zenaku.
Yeah.
I left him to the center, to the end of these shoutouts. So that was
Sorry.
really that was really nice and really helpful, and we appreciate that.
I didn't do too many of those. I was only in the beginning, I think, wasn't it? But yeah, it was still fun to do, to be a part of you guys. So, Wolfy, were you gonna say something too, or?
I don't have anything in mind. I think everything was said what I wanted to say. So
Okay.
it became chaotic, so I let it go and
Let it go.
just observe. Mostly, if Hawr1x stops talking, then you lose your mic volume again. But you survived. So
Am I still okay?
congrats.
I think now
Yes, you are.
I think actually let's talk about the next thing, which is kind of like how you guys feel about the game. So whether it's like now we're kind of more open to the champion balance, basically yeah, champion balance in the servers, and how we kind of feel about how you guys kind of feel about that, because I still think there's like still some broken things in the game, but I think it's, how can I say, as people say, it's like at different levels, like, you know, what something can be really broken at a higher level is like not necessarily broken at a low level, and it kind of like flips. So do you guys have, or even sometimes with the servers, I find actually the servers more to do with like, it's more about people's connections to the server rather than like the servers themselves sometimes, because you can play a game that's perfect, and other times it's like you play someone else or specific people, and then it becomes kind of a problem. So yeah, opening up the floor to that. So like anything you want to comment about servers, your experience, or a champion balance where you feel like, why the fuck is this still here like 6 months later?
Yeah, on the servers, I think the biggest issue is that it's pretty random. Like you said, you know, sometimes I still can get my head around, you know, wrap my head around it. Like, there's like specific people when I got them in rank, I know what issues I'm going to have, and it's like consistent every single time. Like, there's one guy, can't remember the game name, it doesn't matter, but he always plays touch, and I know I'll lose frames when he shoots shotgun, like every single game. And I have no idea why it's that specific and why it's this person, this weapon, this situation, but it always happens. And then with other people, it's kind of random. So I don't know if it's about the servers not having enough, resources, like certain times of the day, those people play, maybe there's more issues then. I don't know what it is, but it's way too random, I would say. Of course, I still prefer what we have now, that we actually play against people, you know, with pretty high ping, and it's pretty competitive compared to Quake 3 when you had ping 70 and it was basically unplayable. So you had to track like in front of the model to just hit LG and stuff like this. So it's still a huge improvement, but there are pieces of the game that are basically pissing me off because it's kind of unpredictable.
I think ultimately that's what we're kind of like after, is just kind of just consistency, especially when the game kind of is as chaotic as it is. So the moment you don't have that consistency, then you're like, instead of trying to focus on improving and doing all these things, you're trying to whether it's like, are you crazy or is the game like driving you crazy? And I think that's kind of
Yeah, is it like
that's kind of the hardest thing to get around at the moment is like, yeah, because then you end up trying to like instead of spending time to invest and get better at the game, you're trying to figure out how can I solve this problem, and then you end up solving no problem or driving yourself crazy. So,
I never know if it's I am crazy, my computer is broken, my connection is broken, is the server broken, is the other person's connection broken, and then you try to fix things. You think you fixed it, but you broke something else, and then it's that's the part I don't like. I still can't get over it and just be like, okay, it's random. I'll just not change anything and wait until it passes.
Which sometimes it's also, like I said, that's why I don't even necessarily attempt trying to fix it, because I just say to myself, you know what, like this is what the game is going to happen today, and then actually, you know what, it's working like an hour later. So I try not to spend too much. Wolfy, do you have any experience with this too, or?
Yeah, and also there's like a weird problem with VPNs. Like even if you are like 20 ping against 20 ping, let's say both European guys, if one has VPN, there can be sometimes differences, and I think this is a huge problem. But the game overall has a lot of problems, and I really tend to blame the servers. When I talk to other guys on a like high level, I do hear sometimes talks like, oh, this game I hit everything, the other game I can hit all of the sudden anything. Like, okay, I don't have something like that. I don't really blame something like that. I don't know why they have these experiences, but there are some games where something weird will happen, or you will face somebody that is doing like weird things, and you just have to bear with that. But for me, the most annoying thing is actually the sound. That this is the problem I had from the day one, because I'm a Quake Live player and I love Quake Live. I could play Quake Live all my life, but I do really love Quake Champions. Don't get me wrong. I think this game is overall a good idea, and everything is like well, and not overall, but a lot of things are well done. And I think the switching to Champions and stuff like that, I really like that. The how they change the items and on and on and on and on. Like there's a lot of things that were done really well, and I think that's that had to be next step for the Quake. But when I play other games, like recently I'm playing a little bit of Valorant. I played Quake Live for many years, and it gets me so I'm being so annoyed when I see how good how high quality the sound is. And when you play Quake, which is supposed to be like very, very well done, especially the sound, because in shooters, sound is so important. And when I watch even new guys in Quake Pro League, when you play in QuakeCon and other matches on the highest level there is, and I see you guessing where the guy is coming from, because the sound is horizontal, and you have no fucking idea. And I think that's stupid, because players who are aggressive has advantage in some way. And think in the pro level that you guys don't know, it's like for me it's absurd that we are in the place like that. It shouldn't be like that. That's the only thing that I want to say. Servers are servers. That's okay. It's better than it was before. We can play we can play EU than NA. But sound, come on. Yeah. What is this? I'm getting annoyed already.
I think a part of the problem is like because the game is so quick as well, and your perspective is constantly changing. So it's like if you hear a sound, but then you're also turning at the same time, it like feels like the position of the sound also changes, and then I don't know, everything happens so quickly, and you're like constantly adjusting. But I think that's just the problem. This is the problem with the game, but like, I think just like in the early construction of the game, and unfortunately, I don't know if it can necessarily be fixed, because I know they made it a couple attempts to try and like change it, but it's kind of been the same.
No, that's the engine problem, the fundamentals. So they won't change the engine; they have to change the game. That's literally the only solution. I don't think they will ever fix it, but I think everyone's supposed to like stay in the middle of Deep Embrace and let's just listen to Slash sliding everywhere and tell me where she is. You won't even fucking know what's happening around you. That's every time when I play against Slash. That's why I'm banning her very often, because I just have no idea. I keep guessing. Yeah, you have to. And you can admit that, Zenaku. Most of you pro players are playing on your not guessing but intuition. Like you just know the guy will be there, but you can't tell that by the sound, and that's so crazy to think. But that's actually how it is, and you know.
Well, I think a lot of it is to do with like momentum. Like it's kind of like riding a bike, where like there can only be in a certain amount of positions in a certain amount of time. Or the other alternative is you just play like you have PTSD, where it's basically you stand in your one corner with rockets and like orb, and you're like, if he comes, you know, I'm gonna get him. But that's unfortunate. But the funny thing is that's how you have to play, because like if you do kill the slash like that, then you can actually continue the momentum. But you just go get that one moment, or you get 20 to 0'd. It's one way or the other. Anyone else want to?
Zenaku, I have a question for you. I'm gonna flip a script a little bit, and judging by Slave and Wolfy talking about servers and such, can you please tell me if Quake Champions on LAN, specifically in the how is it called, tournament realm? Love that phrasing, by the way. So in tournament realm, 1 ping. How different is it? Because after watching the tournaments, for example, nails are like 3 times more viable than online. And just basically give me a couple of biggest differences between the tournament realm and the normal online environment.
Well, firstly, I'll just hope to say that I think now, I mean, I don't know the exact reasons, but I feel like because maybe the game went full release, that maybe there's more of like legalities regarding like letting the go of the server, because all of a sudden now it's like, you know, the Australian tournament had the LAN server, now the Spain tournament had a LAN server, so I can imagine that maybe there's a chance there. But I think the biggest thing is like, so as you know, it's like when your ping goes higher, the opponent's hitbox becomes like much larger, especially with regards to like rail, or like if you fire a rocket and, you know, the other guy cannot even be close and it does lots of damage. But how can I say? And I think one of the biggest things is like, so example, one of the biggest troubles when you're on high ping is trying to like LG and Anarchy, who is like constantly strafing left and right. And to be honest, I still haven't really figured it out. But when you're on 100 MS, like you don't actually combos the ticks together, because like when you're LGing someone, it's meant to actually like consistently tick. So you're constantly having like the momentum push back and you can flow through. So on higher ping, the higher the ping goes, it's like harder to do that. But on low MS, it's like when the guy pushes you, you instantly stop him. Or how else can I say? Or I think even one of the most noticeable things is like, yeah, like I said, with rail is like hitbox has become much bigger on high ping, but on low ping, like when you're trying to rail the slash who's crouch sliding on DM6 through rockets, and you don't just maybe clip it, you actually have to hit them. And I know it seems like a very small detail, but you'll notice straight away when you're trying to do that, and like your brain says, oh, I should be connecting, but now it's like much more harder to do. But I think it's more the case like the game, like you were saying before, Wolfy, too, about aggressive players, is like on low ping, it's like the way the game should be played. Where in high ping, it's like if you have 100 MS and you're moving really quick with Slash or with Athena, it's like the guy doesn't even see you in the room, and you've already like positioned yourself to bounce him and do all sorts of shit. But at the same time, though, I think like even for people who are wanting to play or be competitive, is like that's also an element to the game. So it's like, you know, there is a LAN system, and you know, but this is unfortunately the best that we have. So if that means that you have to be a fucking, pardon my language, if you have to be like, you know, just a bit of a ranger god, or you have to master these things that are just bullshit online, like for example, Scale Bearer on 200 ping is just like insane. But then on low ping, it's like he will never get picked because you just LG him to death before he can even touch you. So it's like,
and BJ is also like very, very good on the high ping. I feel like a lot of people are abusing because you have double LG and LG is broken literally on 260 ping. So,
but but I think one of the biggest things that you'll find is that light champions on how can I say, light champions online can feel really strong, but on lower ping I find like if you want to use HMG and you're actually connecting where they should be, it's like you have more opportunities to stop them. Or one of the biggest things is like Anarchy, because he's moving so quickly in so many positions quickly, is like when you fire the rocket and the rocket is even relatively close, it disrupts his movement. Whereas like on like 50 ms, if he jumps past, it just like you don't hit him at all, and then he's in front of your face just killing you. And that's a huge difference to how the game gets played. So it's like, again, you have to kind of don't get me wrong, I've also like gotten quite frustrated about it, but you do have to play around that system, because unfortunately in online that's the best we've got. And I think no one can really say anything else about that. So
Sure. So as far as my feelings about the games is concerned, I second Wolf's point about the sound being absolute dog shit. And but again, as it is my thing to do, I also think that Quake has the best movement in gaming. So
I think
like literally no better. Perhaps Dusk or any other boomer FPS single player type of deal from like New Blood or something. They also knew exactly what they were doing. But as far as multiplayer is concerned and high octane action, no better than Quake.
Oh, for sure. I think that's also true. Did you actually? Well, because I think we're kind of like off state of the game a bit. Unless somebody also wants to say, did anybody have any like questions for me, or even if you wanted to like ask each other stuff? Because I know, Slave, you wanted to talk about like the tilting thing or something like that.
Yeah, basically, sometimes when I play, and actually it happens most of the time against high ping, and add some server issues to it. Let's say somebody hits a rail around the corner and you're not visible and you still get the damage. Sometimes it just throws me off for the entire game. Sometimes I'm able to say, hey, okay, crap happens, keep going, and just shrug it off. And sometimes it just, I have few games after that are still, raged because of that. So do you have a way to deal with that, or, how do you calm yourself down to actually perform well in the game?
Well, to be honest, I've done a few things around this, because I've tried holding it in, not getting angry at all, and that doesn't necessarily work. Sometimes I've tried to, and I'm sure you guys all saw when I was streaming the other day and playing that as Study Cup, I also tried the other extreme, which is to get extremely annoyed. And I think, to be honest, I think there is no real like simple solution or true answer to that, because if you exert it, you're also like a little bit, I find you're a little bit calmer, because you don't just bottle it up and then you just explode later. And alternatively, if you just if you don't express at all, you're just getting more and more annoyed, and then you don't even the way you play in game also becomes hindered. I think the best way to do it is it's hard to do in the moment, but you have to I feel like it's the stuff you do before the game to understand what's going to happen, what stuff could happen, and then you have a better anticipation for it. But I think even after the fact, if you do have a really bullshit loss, you have to ask yourself why am I getting so annoyed at this? And somewhere along the lines, it's more of the case of we, how do I say, in our day-to-day lives when we're our normal selves and not triggered, it's fine. There is no issue. But it's when the build-up of bullshit happens, that's when it becomes too much, and then we become overly annoyed because we fucking didn't pick up the item. And it's it's just an extreme example for something that's a small detail. And so I find what you need to do is you need to kind of just do a mental reset. So something that I like to do is you have to, well, if you can, get someone in your corner that can just say, what are you doing? Just to relax and everything is good. Or even just say to yourself, why am I getting so annoyed? And usually a lot of the time it's because it's a discrepancy in our thinking to say, I should be doing better than I think I am. This situation should never happen to me because I'm better than that. And it's kind of how do I say, kind of resetting from that and just understanding that's part of the game, and today it didn't happen, and then just putting a full stop, ending it. But I think it's the problem where we're continuously going continuously saying like, how do I say, continuously getting annoyed over the same thing, that's when it keeps happening. If that makes sense. Have I ranted too long? Does that kind of make sense?
No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
if I may, I didn't think about this question before, but it came to my mind. So, as a player, I have a ton of issues, but the biggest one for me probably is dying when it comes to duel. It's dying and leaving my opponent on red health, and pushing with spawn, push, either starting weapon or one weapon that I have. Die again. Another time it's extremely low, picks up one item. I can chain close deaths for like 5 or 6 deaths, and it's still 6-0. The opponent now has 2 items, and only then, after I know that I cannot hit him from spawn, cannot kill him from spawn, I calm down and start playing normally. And usually the difference is too big to come back from. So I tend to get into this like literally seeing red as a shark.
Well, if I could add to that, I think like, and if you guys have even noticed this, even in like in all of your games, like even for example like Wolfy is like quite how can I say, his personality. Now I'm gonna be really careful with my words here. No, his personality in real life is like more outgoing, and the way that he's playing game is an expression of that. And I find it interesting that, like, even for a lot of people too, like when I play, sometimes it's easier to play when you're 0-1 down as opposed to when the game is 0-0. Because then it's like, then you have an incentive in your brain to actually, like, do something. And it's kind of like, obviously it's better to not be 0-1. I'd be interested to see, like, the statistics of, like, when a player gets the first frag, who actually does win the map. But how can I say, it's like, I think when those things happen, you also have to kind of address why am I allowing that to happen, and can I just like play from zero? Because sometimes it's just recognizing that you're even doing that. Like, because I get like that too, where like until I've died and the other guy has full control, I'm like, sweet, I know where I am now.
Yes, this is my point.
Yeah.
I think the good comparison is when you're running competitively, you always want to run second, because you have the guy to chase.
Yeah.
And when you're first, it's very hard to maintain the advantage. And that's
Racing
something like
in
that.
general.
You are already encouraged to do something, and that's what you're saying. And that actually works. That when you can see the switch in the player when he loses the map, when he's starting to losing, and something switches and he starts to do something more. That little addition is sometimes enough to actually turn back the game. And that's interesting to really analyze.
Ask Adrian about being second, by the way.
Don't be cruel, Hawr1x. Don't be cruel.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I have like
that's
addition
real
from
advice.
the opposite side of this spectrum. Again, I did it again.
This time Hawr1x go. Hawr1x go.
Yeah,
It's my
go,
turn.
go.
It's my turn. Okay. So this is like message from the second part of the skill, let's say range, because I don't have like moments where I actually hit the shots. I always have moments where I don't hit the shots. So I play like just for pure fun, and still I think that that question about let's say balance of the champions is that Athena feels really strong and Ranger feel really strong. These two champions stand out for me, and I think that what Quake actually need in general, if we speak about those picks and bans right now, we need 4 more champions at least. This is what Quake is really missing, according to me.
In general, the addition of champions, like that's what every game does. Like Valorant keeps bringing new champions slowly because the game is it can have 50 champions, but League of Legends MOBAs, like they bring more and more champions, and we need some more variety. But I don't kind of believe we will. But it would be nice.
They will solve the balance, because when you have like a wider range of champions to pick from, you can deny those obvious picks and bans or contra picks.
Slave, do you want to continue about the tilt thing, or did you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to, that's not a real advice, JaH0, but for whatever reason, when I struggle with, just spelling blood and constantly dying, like, losing 6-0, when I actually kill myself and it's like 6 to -1, then suddenly give me like 15 seconds and I'll score the frag. I don't know what it is, but when I'm in the negative, suddenly I know what to do. So it's almost like I should start games with just, jumping off the map and just going from 0 to -1. And I guess, Havrix, to your point about champions, it'll be interesting to see new champions. At the same time, it's enough complexity already with 16 champions and how to counter each other and how to play different matchups. It may make game even harder for newcomers. So I'm not sure if that's actually the right way to go. And I've seen Sync in the chat, so probably he's pretty happy about that idea.
Hello, Adam.
So, just giving a quick answer to Slave, thank you very much for that advice. I am of course not going to take it because I love front running, and there's literally nothing better for me than front running and doing exactly the same as I'm getting tilted from others doing that to me. So, yeah, thanks but no thanks. Next question.
I play Anarchy.
What helps me in the beginning when I start to climb in some game, because I play a lot of games and I like to achieve the high ranks, is I lost the word that would fit perfectly, but maybe it will jump to my head later on. But I almost never get annoyed. I do tend to tilt, that's of course, but I don't tilt at all at the beginning of my journey or even like halfway, because I just know I'm just bad, or I'm not even bad, but I know I do mistakes. And what I think like a lot of players in gold, silver, diamond that tend to tilt should just try to work that in their mind, that they just being aware that you will make mistakes, and if you're losing, it's probably to this and this. That's what Zenek also said, like, okay, I lost this fight because my shotgun hit for 4. Like, what is this? Why my shotgun hit for 4? But okay, dude, but you just gave away the heavy armor 10 seconds ago, and your position is actually bad. You're pushing to this fight that you should never take, and stuff like that. And they don't focus on those aspects. They do focus on something that's in front of them. And I think that's the one thing one approach that they should change that will benefit. And I had one situation when I tilted competitively, because I don't tend to tilt at all when I play competitively. It's completely different when I do play some custom games, I stream, and I don't know, I play something. I even shouted at you, Zanaku, in some our custom games, but it's it's custom games, so I treat them kind of differently. But when I play tournaments, I'm calm as fuck, because I'm here to win. So I'm trying to erase the tilt completely so I can play my best, because it's competitive. But I did tilt one game in challengers, and I think that was my most proud tilt recovery, I would say, I've ever done. It was against FaZe in the round, I think, in quarterfinals, and I lost first map to FaZe. FaZe is my biggest rival in Poland, because he's we are excluding Avek because he doesn't participate in Polish events, but FaZe is like my greatest enemy, and also a big friend. But yeah, I knew that he's gonna be a challenge, and when we met in challengers, that was something to sort of like, who's gonna win this, because it's competitive. We both want to be in QPL, like, let's do it. And I lost the first map, Deep Base, like completely wrecked. I was like, I don't know, 114, something like that, and I tilted as fuck. I hit my keyboard. I was like, fuck this, man. I went so smooth into this match, but nothing works. Like, it completely destroyed me. But I know I can win with this guy. And I actually typed on the in the chat before the next game, and the streamers were there and stuff like that to spectate. And I said, I need 5 minutes. Like fuck this. I'm not gonna play next match. Let's wait. And I know FaZe was kind of annoyed for the break, but I was like, I won't play next match. And I completely left the room. I actually completely left the apartment. I went outside to get some fresh air, and I was like just thinking a little bit. I chilled, I came back, and I won 2-1 in maps. And I played completely different game. I don't know what worked, but that was one of the situations where competitively I completely broke. And I was like, and I never done that again, so that's cool. But I think the problem was the expectations. I think I started wrongly the match, because I thought like I can do it. I will do it. But I wasn't like distanced to the thought of doing that. I was like, I need to do it. It's so big pressure put on yourself from the start, and I think that's the big problem. And when I was crushed with reality, like that it breaks you, but more than it's supposed to even. And I think that broke me more than I thought, and I had to rearrange. But it worked for some reason, and I'm happy about it. But I think lowering your expectation, but not in a bad way that it should be too lowered too much. But sometimes taking games, like being loosen up, is really great. Just feel that reduce your pressure that you can. And I think that what happened at Ironfist qualifications. I still don't understand how I qualified to Ironfist after playing 2 months of Quake. And actually, I will add one funny story, because I think most of people don't even know that story, and I think it's my favorite Ironfist story there is, and it relates to Garpy. So you can tell him that, because I think he doesn't know that. When I participated in Ironfist, I didn't even have all champion. I didn't have Slash unlocked, because I still don't play Slash. I don't play Slash crowd sliders, because I just never played Quake 4, and I just didn't focus on that. When I had 2 months to play, I focused on other aspects. And when I played Garpy, he banned Slash. And I fucking laughed so much. And a few guys in the chat even knew that, and they were like cringing so much about it. I was like, dude, I don't even have her unlocked. That was so funny. But what I wanted to say is that I registered myself to Ironfist eliminations just to get experience of competitive Quake, because that's my first ever tournament online. So I was just getting into the game, and I went with the mind of, I'm here to play. Like, let's play. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, cool. Some random good guys. I don't even know the nicknames, and I fucking took 4th place for some reason. Even almost beat Sib, who I didn't even know who he is actually. And I beat Aaron V. Like, I don't even know how I managed to do it, but he also went, I think, wrongly into this match, because he didn't even took me as a good opponent, and suddenly he lost to 0 in the maps. But the approach of just having this, I'm here to have fun, I don't really care, let's play some Quake, and suddenly, you're doing something great. And I actually managed to fly to London and have a great experience in a really weird way. So I think, that's all I wanted to say about mental approach. And tilt.
It works everywhere, this approach. Because like for a long time I was trying so hard to do something about Quake and other activities, and when you just let's say screw one single thing, it can throw you off the balance. And when you kind of put yourself into position where you don't kind of care, you do care but not that much, anything is much more easier, and everything is better.
Yeah, you can even see that approach in. I really like to watch a lot of boxing, and you can even see that at the fighters when they come to the. I will say arena. I have no idea how to say it. When they ring, ring. When we're approaching the ring, you can see the one guy is loosened up like completely. He's like, he feels like at home, like at his gym every day. And the other guy is so stiff. And that, I think, it's sometimes what happens also in Quake and other disciplines. Like sometimes people will be stiff, and you will see that their gameplay is they're getting into the match, and the other guy is already in it. And you can see that also, that the mental approach in games is a big part.
Yeah, Wolf, when you said about gold, silvers, diamond players sometimes getting that high expectations and tilting. I've been there so many times, and I think it's also when you think you are better than you are, and you kind of don't want to accept where you are, then you tilt easily because you think you should be winning. And you're making all of those mistakes, and instead of actually looking at your mistakes, you can think of, I shouldn't be losing to this guy, or this should be a fight I should win. And then you actually don't, you don't actually look at your own game and what you can fix and how to improve. And then you stay in that place, and the more you play, you feel like you've invested all of those hours. So you should be better than this guy, and the same things happens over and over again. So I think you're exactly right that when you actually drop that and just approach every game like okay, I'll either win or lose, but I'll just do my best and learn. It changes everything.
Yeah, maybe I have big balls to say that, but I will say it anyways. I think even Rafa falls into that sometimes. I feel like he will never admit to make mistake, or he very rarely does that. When you watch his streams, he will sometimes he will be surprised by the opponent's play, and he will say, "Why the fuck he's doing something stupid? Like, what is this shit? Oh my god!" But the point is, maybe the guy did that because he wanted to actually do something good and surprise Rafa, and Rafa expects something else, and he won't admit that he got caught. But he will say he will like call this play stupid or something like not well done because of his perception of the perfect play. But maybe that approach stops him a little bit to improve even more because he's the front runner. Maybe probably still to this day, even though he didn't win, but he still is the front runner, and I feel like he sometimes would need the approach of the second runner sometimes, and I feel like he's mentally somewhere. Maybe he's blocking himself a little bit to say, okay, I fucked up. Maybe I have to change some things because now everyone knows how I play, and maybe there's something to change.
Yep. In a way, it's actually harder to be the front runner because there's a lot of expectations on you, and there's so much evidence that what you do is the right thing to do because you've won so many times. That is sometimes probably hard to actually think, well, I may be wrong here. I think it's a very challenging place to actually be the front runner and keep being first, which he was very successful with anyway. But it's probably harder than we all think.
Well, before we go into another topic, I'd like to ask also Saint, because when you're like, as you've been like playing at your level, because I mean, to be fair, I think you're also like still kind of like starting out. How do you feel like? What are the type of things that? Because I imagine the issues that you still even have at that ELO are the exact same or very similar to what you have even further along. It's just kind of like rinse and repeated until you come to the same conclusion, which is like either just to play the game or just to have fun. I mean, do you also find that like, do you also get quite fucking mad, or how do you go?
If someone are watching my streams recently on the Quake and especially the duels, I've got tilted so many times due to hilarious rockets. I can't understand how it is possible to hit, it has so many situations where I can't understand, but the next day I'm trying to watch the VODs or my personal recordings of some duels with friends, and I'm trying to mark my mistakes and try to correct this. Or I'm watching a lot the better players from the gold, diamond, or even the highest ranks. So the most issue, yes, this is that the players from the low ranks, like silver or even gold, that if you want to win the game, you are not focusing on correcting the current mistakes at the game, and you're trying to rush, you're trying to chase some kind of brainlessly, and then that's the issue, I think.
I think we covered a lot of good stuff with regards to like, I mean, even that in itself, like the frustration thing, I feel like even as you increase your level, the only thing is that you're like maybe more skillfully just plus forwarding. Like you're just pushing, but you're doing it like a bit more creatively, or you're doing it differently, There was one more thing I wanted to say.
Because you know the boundaries where
Right.
that push is overextended and where it is okay to push, and you need to push. You need to chase your opponent to the corner, and that's what is lacking on that bronze, silver, gold.
I'll also quickly add one more thing about the whole expectation thing, because I mean, I also invest a lot of time into playing and also trying to figure out the best method. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've noticed that I've done with doing that is to say, oh, exactly like you said before, Slave, which is like, well, I invested the time, therefore I deserve. But by no means actually is that necessarily true. And I think once you you let go of that, that's when you can actually use your skills, because it can be like, I think you have to be willing to. The way I look at it is like, you have to be willing to invest infinite amount of time and expect like, well, I don't know if I should say like no result, but how can I say that it doesn't.
Don't expect anything really.
Well, maybe
This would be probably the way I would try to approach this, but of course we are people, and with effort we usually want results. So.
Well, absolutely, and I think that's also a good way. You still need to do that, because then you're not outcome dependent at all, but you need to have some desire to win. But
Sure.
I think it's when you say like, well, I've done all these things, therefore I deserve. I think that's when the struggle comes from. So yeah, just wanted to add to that too.
Yeah, and also a lot of people invest a lot of time into the game, but they don't progress because their investment is actually really badly put.
Right.
And I think that's the big problem. And they can't see that. Like, you can see comments like, "Oh, I'm playing League of Legends. I can't advance from gold. Like I played already 2,000 hours. It's impossible to advance." Like, dude, like no, you're just making so many things badly, and they can't admit that. And as long as they can't admit to themselves that they just suck and they have to work on themselves, they will never do that. And I feel like this is a big approach that this is something that a lot of people are experiencing, and they have blindfold on their eyes, and they're stuck in the ranks and progression.
So everybody is different, and
I guess-
when it comes to being a player, it is not different at any point, especially when we are considering ranked gaming to being a sportsman. And when it comes to sports, when it comes to basically anything in life, you have your own natural skill ceiling, and from that point on, depending on your talent, your ability that you've worked on yourself, and perhaps you made good, like you can be talented and learn a lot of good things by yourself. So you hit, for example, we say League of Legends, you hit Masters by yourself. You cannot go any further, because from that point on, it's where the most talented self-taught people go. And if you want to be a grandmaster or challenger and then go to become a full-time pro, this is where the coaches come to play. And people, especially young people on the internet who have not done real sports, they tend to not realize the value of a good coach and the ability of them, usually from different coaches and experience gathered along the way. This can literally skyrocket your career to the next step, and from that point on, if you have the knowledge, it's on to you to apply it, and the best of the best do it without questions. So.
Okay.
How much is for a coaching session, Zanako?
Mate, the funny thing is, mate, I actually need a coach at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think
No problem.
Top 4 player in the world, by the way, said that. This is very important, and this is also why I said what I said. This is top 4 player speaking, saying that he needs a coach right now, and of course he's probably not talking about skill on the server, because that he has plenty, and of course this is something that you can teach individually. But yeah, please move on with your thought, Zanaku. Like, why would you need a coach? Please tell everybody.
I think it's, how can I say? I think for me at the moment, it's more of like it's all like the mental game, and it's like, how can I say? It's the small details that I still get caught up in even to this day, where it's like, you know, one day I'll play 2,000%, and then the next day I'm playing like maybe 50%, or even like what Wolfy was saying before too, about kind of like spinning your wheels. Like, I'm also a bit of a grinder, but necessarily like even today I was even thinking like, you know, some days I'll just like play for an hour and just kind of like run through the motions, but actually what you think about what you're benefiting from doing this is like sometimes like you're just wasting an hour actually. Like, you're not actually kind of, and sometimes it's hard to identify, and I think that's also the process of learning too. The process of learning isn't necessarily to say like, I've wasted an hour, but it's more like recognizing later that this hour was a waste of time. In a sense of like, so okay, I've spent the hour. Did I get what I wanted? Yes, no, and like, how can I say? Like, even the process of making mistakes, even though it feels like you're going backwards, it's like you're finding ways to optimize. That's actually, I feel like the best way to put it is like, you're constantly just like making mistakes and optimizing the schedule. So you just like the amount of hours you put are all useful. Because no one has any more time than anybody else, right? We're all just using our time differently.
And actually, I was going to ask, and I guess I could ask both you, Zanako and Wolf, when you feel like you plateaued in a game, whatever game that is, Quake or, something else you're playing, how do you break through that ceiling? How do you get unstuck?
When it comes to Quake skill, you mean?
Well, Quake skill, it can be Valorant, it can be any other game, but, what's your approach to actually break through?
No, I'm thinking. Like Zanako. If you have the answer, you can say I'm thinking about it.
Okay. I'd say maybe it comes down to. I think the first thing, which it might sound like trivial, but I think it has a lot to actually like with belief. Like a lot of the time when you're playing, and when you're playing someone, is like how can you have like a game where you're playing 2000% and another game where you're playing 100%. And the difference is because like that's why tournaments are so interesting, is because like when you're playing in a practice match you're playing really well, and then in the tournament you're playing really well, but then in the final you play different to how you played the rest of the matches. And it's like there's something going on unconsciously there where it's like the closer you get to certain things. So I would first maybe address like like your belief of certain things, like how you believe about yourself to succeed and to do well. But then other things, I guess, I would actually find like things that are like in the game more secondary, like in terms of like the smaller details to like what you would do, because ultimately like I said, when it comes to crunch time, you can have this perfectly mastered, piece of art of like what you're going to execute, but then it's like not executed at all because you just like, you don't even believe that you're there. I don't know how else to say it, but I think it really comes down to like having a conversation with yourself, but also having a conversation with someone that you can like that you can trust, that will also like get the most out of you, that will say, Victor, I think you're full of shit, or do you really think that do you think that's actually really true about yourself? Because the moments you do that, you actually realize like when someone, that's also the interesting thing about like pressure and aggression, is that when someone's really pressuring you, that's when like this whole facade of who we say who we are of ourselves, as soon as like someone's pushing you really fucking hard in the game, oh shit, actually, you know what, no, I don't care, no, actually you take it, and it's like trying to get, putting yourself pressured in those moments so that you reveal to yourself who you truly are, then like, I guess like change your belief or believe that you can, and then you can actually get somewhere. But I think that's a process of like, hundreds of and thousands of iterations of the same moments, like being in this situation, fuck, why did it happen again? Why the fuck did I lose? And it's like, I think the biggest thing is like being true to yourself. All this shit about like, how can I say, needing to do better or wanting more out of yourself, it's like understanding why you want more out of yourself, which can be a good thing, but not to the point where it takes away from like you actually enjoying yourself. Because if you're not enjoying yourself when you succeed, it's not even gonna be worth it. So does that kind of answer it, or?
And so when you figure out that consistency part, like when you play 200% and 100% and 20% the next game, let me know, because sometimes I feel like some games I have that voice in my head that just tells me what to do and it's just working well. And sometimes I go in the game, there's like dead silence, and I'm like, okay, what do I do now?
Yep.
So it's like, sometimes it's like that. So, but anyway, Wolf, I guess you figure out your answer. So
yeah, I wanted to say that if you want to progress, you have to first find where is the downside that you have to fix. And what works for me, because it's really hard to talk generally about things like that because everyone is individual. There are some things that you can say, but what works for me is that when I want to progress at something, I spend a lot of time in it as much as I can. Obviously, like we have our things, but for example for me is that when I started to play Quake Champions and I want to progress ASAP, I actually was going to bed watching streams of Rafa, which it sounds weird, I know, but come on. And I was just watching him play before I fell asleep. I was actually falling asleep during that because it was late and I finally turned off. But I was getting something into my head all the time. I was watching a lot, so I would play as much as I can, let's say 2 hours, but then I will spend like half an hour before sleep watching. That's an extra input that I make to progress. So I spend a lot of time, but also I'm very strict to myself. Even if I get a frag or even I win a match, I will say I suck. Like that was bad, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm not the best player, but I have a lot of high ranks in a lot of games because of that. Right now I'm playing Valorant, and after 120 hours I'm in Diamond, never playing the game, but I win matches with the comment, I played this match so fucking bad. Even though I won and I did few things good, I made so many mistakes, and recognizing the mistakes, and also what Zenako said, surrounding yourself with the people that actually won't lie into your eyes, or will tell you, dude, you suck because of this and this, is very important. Because if you want to progress at something, you can't get lied because somebody wants to be nice to you. So if I'm making a video on YouTube and I will show it to my friend, they will say, oh, that's a great video, bro, like this montage is awesome. But then I show it to the other guy and he says, dude, your sound is so off that you can't, it's unwatchable from his perspective. And then you're like, okay, the other guy is my friend, so he doesn't really know that much technically about something, but this guy knows what he's talking about, so I have to fix the sound. So the next video you will make, the sound will be already fixed, and that's the progression in some way. And also during the game, when you're in the match of the Quake, when you have the situation when you would hit the rail 9 out of 10 times because something happened, let's say the guy went on the jump pad and you missed the rail, then you can't be hard on yourself like, oh my god, I fucking don't hit rails. Usually I would hit, that's the problem. Like I can't hit rails, like this game doesn't work. No, you have to think what the best thing you can do now when you didn't hit the rail. And when you do play 10 out of 10, the next move you will do will be perfect. That's the progression also, not focusing on easy parts like hitting. You can say, I can hit 4 rails every situation we have on the map and I will win the duels. It's easy. But that's not actually the point. Like you won't hit the rail. It's not supposed to hit every time. It's about the steps. Like match, let's say the 10-minute duel is 100 steps. If you get 90 steps perfectly, you're playing really fucking well. But you have to divide that and divine that. You divide that and I put it in the small steps. But yeah, be strict to yourself and commit.
We touched so many topics right now. Can I add something? So I will start with Wolf and his watching Rafa. What I find out that I watch so much games. It's like thousands of hours during what I spent in Quake community. But actually, when I started to cast the games, that's the point where I realized that it gives me much more than just pure watching. Because when you are shoutcasting, you are closely following what's actually going on the stream. So it's not just you are watching the game and you are staring on your screen. You have to be in that mind of that player, try to replicate basically what he's doing, and it really improved my game on that silver tier. We kind of don't speak about my level of game, yeah? And other addition I would like to have is going to David, because we are getting at like level of competitiveness where actually your team should provide you physical, psychological and other specialists that will work on your state of mind and physical well-being, because you need to, when you want to have 100% output and more, and you want it in that tournament, you really need to be well-rounded in every aspect of that game. So I think that this is where we are slowly getting with esports. And 25 years back, I was on a situation where esports was nothing. We just met with friends and having fun, and I watched that esports growing. And I think that now that top major teams should have this kind of support to their players, to have somebody who will discuss everything about your mindset and everything around that.
I think Maestro do have something like that. I mean, it's more of like one of the people who like own the team that also invests. But I think for me, what I need for where I want to go is like, I need like full investment and also someone who can like, how can I say, it's like, you know, not to make it sound too weird, but it's like almost like as if you're in a close relationship with somebody, where it's like they want the best for you and you want the best for them. That's actually like how you like make it the furthest is with something like that. Because if I just like hire someone, or even if and they're just like not really too invested and they're just kind of getting paid, it's a different experience to when someone is like just wanting the best for you, and they also understand what it takes, the things that you're going under. Whereas like, you know, a good coach isn't necessarily just to say, you know, isn't just someone who's going to tell you to try harder. It's like for them to have been where you have been and then to know what the next step is. Or at least, you know, be very similar to you to know what the next step is. But I think a major part of that, like I said, is like close relationship where like the person is living so close to you that they basically know who you are to that level where they can actually tell you what the exact problem is. Rather than like, I think this is what the problem is, you could try that. It'd be like, no, it's definitely this, start doing this now. Yeah. But that's, how can I say? That's a bit of a work in progress, right? That's how we get to that stage. Recognizing what it is, taking action on that, and progressing. So, guys, it's already 7. I think we've been talking for about an hour and a half, which I think is pretty good, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with like how it's going.
We can go on for 10 next hours.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a marathon podcast.
But I think, you know, next time we'll try to figure something out. This is kind of like a new thing for me. So, but I love like, especially having you guys where everyone's gonna try to chip in and like actually say what they think. So I've really enjoyed it. Did anyone end with anything or any shout outs maybe? Polish Quake League Season 3?
For now, I would to advertise our upcoming Christmas duel tournament, if if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So we are running the 17th of December, the Christmas duel tournament. So feel free to join and join our Discords, Tilt Gaming, which the Wolf is the part of that. And the Quake Poland, when we are gathering the Polish and even the international players for sparrings, duels, and everything you like.
Awesome. Anybody else? Actually, Hawr1x, you also have your beer mugs that people are still designing. You want to talk about that?
Thank you for having me here. Actually, it was great to somehow meet. I would say my friends because I like the boys, but meet them on a different level and knew something more about the history and viewing of Quake. But regarding the Quake Pub, I was trying to kind of address another part of Quake community, which is art, and we have a lot of talented artists. So I put 101 euro lol into that competition, and I'm asking people to basically help me to build the pub because all those mugs will be used as a promotion, and there are some surprises that I don't want to reveal right now, and but David know what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and I'm really glad that you decided to do such podcast. previously last week with challengers. It was amazing to watch, and now I hope that we maybe touch some topics that newcomers and maybe that mid-tier players will find useful as well. That we don't just speak plainly.
Exactly.
If I may, I would like to thank you very much, Zanaku, for reading the comments and inviting us for this great podcast. Cool opportunity. Hope that the VOD is also going to be on YouTube, so that we can share it around and everybody else can find out on a bit bigger platform about how the Polish community works. And as far as my personal agenda is concerned, I would like to give a special shout out to your boy from Down Under, Mr. the Spot Hunter, who I've been watching for about 4.5 years. In my opinion, he's top 3 streamer on Twitch and consistently entertaining dude. And stay one with the bullshit.
Yep, I like that. Slave, do you have anything else to add as well?
Yeah, I'll just be short, quick.
Be short.
Thank you for having us here. It was pretty fun. I think it was good content, and thanks for answering all the questions I had. So that's it.
That's good.
Great initiative, Zanaku. Keep doing that. That's what community needs.
But fix
That went smooth.
the goddamn audio.
Fix the goddamn audio. we will cut it out from the video. Just send me the the video.
I trust you.
Okay, so
I will actually edit it so it's funny. You diving under the table.
Oh fuck.
We'll make something. We will make something from it. That's for sure.
Okay. Oh, fuck.
But will really Wolf edit the video, because that's...
No, I will help this guy out.
Okay, sure.
He needs help.
Let's talk. Yeah, I need help. We'll talk about it.
okay, the last words from me. Thanks for having me, Zanaku. The great opportunity to say something about the Polish community and Polish Quake League. So some announcements you wanted about that. So we are planning to continue the league, but in the other name. So it won't be the Polish Quake League. It will be something different. And for your infos, I'm trying to figure out some tournaments to compete with the QPL's players. So stay tuned.
Should be good. Okay, guys. Thank you again, and hope to see everyone soon. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, yeah.